recording. So, okay, people are entering slowly still. Welcome, everyone, to our community webinar with the clients. So happy that you're all here. As you see, we're in a Teams environment just to make it a little bit more interactive. We have a Q&A session at the end, and also please use the chat to ask your questions in between. Also, we're going to talk about our new content formats today. So if you have any cases or content-related questions, also put them in the chat, and we're happy to go into those live today as well. If you mute yourself at this moment, it might be easier, just that we don't have any unwanted background noise. And that's it. I was also saying just before, we don't have that many slides. We're going to be more like conversation style today, and we're going to show some things live in the CMS. So that's a little bit on the practical side. And then I would like to welcome our great content team lead, Viktoria, or Vic as we call her here, of course. She will be talking to you about the new formats and how she has experienced those last months with her team. So Vic, welcome today.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. So excited that you're joining us to share your experiences, because we all want to hear from you and the team how you have been working with these new content formats. Maybe before we dive in, I just wanted to show this slide just for a short introduction. These are the content formats that we have today. Most of you are very familiar with especially the crash course, because this was our most loved format. We also had the classic path, a little bit less used, but single learning has been added, as well as an info booster, video only and quiz only. So when you want to test knowledge, go for the above three. If you just want to add variety and share knowledge without asking questions or without adding too much info, use one of the below. But we're going to dive deeper into that today, right? So I'm not going to... Yes, okay, great. So this is a short introduction. I'm going to remove the slide. And maybe, Vic, before we dive into it all, I always like to start with why, because I'm a Simon Sinek fan.
Yeah.
So could you maybe introduce us a little to why we as MobieTrain decided to add these new content formats? What was the inspiration for this?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. First of all, the new formats provide us a world of possibilities when it comes to, for content creators and for writers, and when it comes to creating a lot more variety, when it comes to being a lot more creative for the end users as well, because in the end, we want to provide an excellent experience. So I think together with our AI features, together with our chat functionality and community, and these new formats, we actually have a great possibility to work towards this all in one platform. And also, I think super important, with the micro approach that we always use, we keep things very short and sweet. And with these new formats, we can keep things even shorter and sweeter. So I think that's in short the why.
Yes, are very relatable, I think, and especially the short and sweet, and the social media that is influencing our attention
Yeah,
spans.
exactly.
That's definitely a very nice addition, then, I think.
Yeah.
Great. I think so many clients are already starting to use our new formats, but the question that we get from customer success side is often, okay, how do I choose which format to use? I have a training, I want to do something, but how do I know which format to use best? Or should it be a mix of different formats? What would be your tip as content team?
Yeah, well, I think the crash course is still like the classic go-to format. I think it's a very strong foundation if you want to start with an onboarding or a product track, a service track, maybe certain procedures, because you always want to share some knowledge in the beginning, but you also want to test it. And I think the single learning is a great addition to it because it's all a little bit shorter and a little bit sweeter. But the good news is it then doesn't have to stop there anymore with these new formats. And when we try to decide, okay, what kind of combination are we going to make, or what kind of additions do we want, we make a distinction between nice to know type of content and need to know type of content.
Mhm.
And then secondly, we kind of look at the complexity. So is it very heavy material that you're sharing? Do you need to split it up maybe? Do you need to use the different formats and combine it like that? Or is it something that you can use on its own because it's a bit lighter, and maybe the video only or like an info booster is already plenty?
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of something. For example, you could have a very strong video, but the information in there is very important for you to test as well. You need to kind of quiz your end users on it. So you could share that video, and you could link it to the quiz only format. And then what you also could do is that you just use a single learning, have a video in there, ask some questions. So that's, I think, the very nice part about these formats is you can play around with it. You could see, you can decide, okay, what is your goal? Where do you want to go with there, with the content? And then, yeah, you decide the approach. In the end, it's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like what you say. Indeed, so if you say it's more complex content, more difficult, it's better to test. Also, if it's a need to know, then it's better to test it, like use single learnings or crash course, depending on how much content you want to share. And if it's more a nice to know, then it's more like info booster, video only, like this, then
Yeah,
that's what we would suggest.
yeah,
Okay, no,
indeed.
that's a very nice one. We also wanted to maybe highlight some use cases that we saw with the new formats that maybe bring this also a little bit more to life. For example, video only format. It's a very nice format where you just share a video. What are some best practices that you have seen, for example, in the retail sector?
Yeah, I think having the video only, first of all, it's visual, and people love visual. And we always say visual can say more than 1,000 words. And in the retail industry specifically, I think it's a great way to put your own people in the spotlight, because there's nothing more fun than seeing your own colleagues or your boss or your store manager or whoever um, in video format. I think it's a great way to explain certain procedures, maybe also explain how certain system work. For example, I know that a lot of our retail clients, they have quite difficult cash register systems. So instead of making a crash course with screenshot after screenshot, you can just record somebody using it. They
Yeah.
explain how to log in, which buttons to push, and then yeah, that's a way easier way of transforming that type of knowledge. On the other hand, you can put your people in the spotlight by asking them to maybe share their own experiences, share their best practices. Maybe you have certain experts on certain areas that are very good at providing a very good experience to the guests, and I don't know, maybe you can just ask them to, okay, what are your 5 main tips and tricks? And that way, hopefully, and we see that a lot with some of our clients, is that you create this kind of motivational loop where people see each other in the app. They want to do that as well. They also have this feeling like, oh, look, that's Freddie, for example, who created a video, and it's so nice, and I really kind of want it as well. So how do I do that? How do we record? And that way you create this, yeah, internal community within the app, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's an amazing way to use a video only format. And I think also great ways is that usually our bigger brands, they have an amazing marketing department. They have so many product videos or videos about their services. So you could have a category in the app that says discover more. And for all of those people who want to see more about a product, who have already maybe completed a crash course, they can go into that category and click on the video and find out a lot more information, which hopefully they can also use in their sales conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I also saw some clients that really have very nice product videos as well. So it's for your own employees, it's also interesting to see those. I think definitely. And also, I like the idea of, filming one of your experts in the company And that makes them an ambassador as well. They say,
Yeah,
hey, there's a video
absolutely.
of me explaining this in the application. Go and check it out. And they also get some more engagement for the app. So very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And with the quality of the smartphones these days, it's so easy to create a good video in no time. So
Yeah.
video only is definitely something to experiment with. Very
Absolutely.
nice.
We do always give the tip that even though it's already more engaging because it's visual, still try to keep them as short as possible. If you
Yeah.
feel like there is a lot to tell, you can still split them up and then still use them in a crash course, for example. But if it's something like more nice to know type of content, a little bit lighter, try to keep them very short.
Yes, yes. 1 to 3 minutes. What would you suggest?
I'd say ideally a minute. Like even if you feel that you have to record something and it's 4 minutes long, like it's best to then split it up in like 3 to 4 videos. But we see that again with the attention span, the younger generation. I myself have it too, to be honest. So I like it when something is very short and sweet.
Yeah, very nice. Also, a nice comment from Jen, our colleague. Another great example for video only is one of the fans. They create videos about how to fold certain clothing. That's also a
Oh
very
yeah,
nice
yeah,
example. Yeah,
exactly
so
true.
really folding in the store. That's easy to create. Thank you, Jen, for adding.
Yeah, practical things indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Um,
and the good part there is, sorry, Sarah,
yeah,
is that
no worries.
imagine that you would need content in multiple languages. If you have these type of
Mm.
videos where you don't really need to say anything, you can just put on a nice background music. Then you can indeed use it for every store all across Europe or globally. So yeah,
Mhm.
indeed, very good tip.
Yeah, yeah, true, indeed. And especially in Belgium also, with all these different languages that we have,
Yeah.
having videos without talking in them might be easier. Okay, then I think we also have some very best practices for info boosters. Maybe we can focus a little bit here on hospitality sector, for example, in the kitchen.
Sure.
What did you see there from clients, or what did you do yourself with the info boosters?
Yeah, well, I know a little bit more about the hospitality sector myself because as a student, I worked in the kitchen. So I know
Ah,
the
nice.
challenges and the needs of, yeah, kitchen staff.
Mhm.
But the info booster there is great because obviously, as a restaurant, you work with different menus, and these menus they might change every week or every month or every couple of months. And having just a picture of your menu in the info booster or having an overview of a certain ingredient lists of a certain dish in there, or having an overview of just saying like the 5 most important rules of HACCP, and having there somewhere in the app behind the info booster is a great way in like the heat of the moment cases, because you don't always have the time to watch an entire video or to do a
Mhm.
crash course or whatever. But the info booster is amazing to have a very visual. Yeah, you can in the blink of an eye you can immediately see what it is that you need to see. I had quite a lot of situations where we were working on a dish, and because it was a pretty stressful environment and you just forgot, like, okay, oh damn, what were those 2 ingredients that I needed? And then instead of looking between papers or trying to find the manual or the procedure, you can just click on something and see what it is that you need and continue, you can move on.
Very
So
handy.
I think that's how we tend to use the info booster mostly. Um, it was created with the idea like, okay, instead of, you don't need to have questions in there anymore, it's text only. But we usually don't even have any text in there. I'll show you some examples later. We just work with pictures, and that's honestly a beautiful result. You can go back and forth. You can also, for example, with the menu, you take a picture of the menu, and then you have a next slide with just a little bit more information about certain dishes that would be very handy for, your employees to know. Just saying something, you have a pasta carbonara on the menu, and you can add like a little story about, okay, about our chef. He or she uses a secret ingredient, and that makes it like extra spicy but very nice. Just saying something. But that might be like the nice addition that your waiters can use to sell, that certain dish.
Yeah, a
So
little bit of storytelling in the restaurant.
yeah,
That's really
a little bit of
nice.
storytelling, great way to
Yeah.
summarize certain things. So yeah, for us, it's a very visual format.
Yeah, 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 indeed. I like also the thing that you as a content team used your creative minds to say, okay, text only, but actually we just want to do more
No, yes.
visuals and we just go for the
Exactly.
images. And we have some nice examples for all of us here later on. Okay, then maybe the last format. This is the quiz only
Yeah.
questions. What would you say as content expert, like where would you use that for?
I think the quiz only like doesn't really depend on what industry you are in, but I think this is a great one for our older clients or clients that have been with us for a while and have created quite a lot of crash courses in the meantime. It's the perfect way to refresh the knowledge, and there are probably so many topics that how do I say this? This is not, it's not really the case if you create a crash course once and that's it. We had
Mm.
often also cases where we said, okay, we do need to refresh that knowledge, so we can maybe make a different crash course, but with like a slightly like with another twist. But now you don't have to do that anymore. You with the dependencies, you can link the quiz only to that crash course, and in that quiz only focus on more challenging questions or repeating the most important questions that you had before, but maybe using a different type of question there. I also really love using it for like more FAQ type of
Mm.
scenarios. For example, imagine that there are 10 things you feel that are still often, still often go wrong in your store or in your restaurant or whatever business you work in, that you can use that quiz only format to tackle those specific challenges.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
also
because then the
an
employees have
example.
to think about it themselves, and they, yeah, it's better for the knowledge retention. Oh,
Yeah,
that's also a very
exactly.
nice idea. Putting the FAQ as a really question answer
Yeah,
type format
yeah.
in the app. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously,
Okay.
you could also use it on its own. Doesn't always have to be linked. I said in the beginning that you can link it to a video as well. If you say that you want to
Mm.
test the knowledge from that video, you could do the same with an info booster. But on its own, again, I'd say for more nice to know type of content, maybe also know a nice way to teach something about your team or your culture or the vibe within your
Yeah.
organization, that you maybe share some fun facts about the team or about management or whatever. So yeah, many
Yeah. Yeah.
possibilities.
Yeah, that's also very nice, especially for those nice to know type of things.
Yeah,
Because I often hear some clients are also worried if you pose a question without already having given the answer in a video or a text. But sometimes for
yeah,
some formats, like getting to know your team, it's really fun to let the employees guess
exactly.
some answers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
I
Okay.
also think to comment on that, we always say like the best way to learn is by making mistakes. So even though
Yeah.
you haven't maybe seen that particular knowledge in the beginning or you haven't really read it anywhere, if you do the question and you really focus on it and it's still wrong, then you know for the next time, okay, now I know what I need to answer. So
Yes.
also
Yes.
part of
True.
learning.
Okay, yeah, and then that's definitely something I believe in as well. So I totally agree. Okay, great. This is the moment where we dive into some real world examples. I want to ask the audience in the meantime, please think about your own cases as well. Like, do you have something you're struggling with at this moment? Is there, for example, you want to create a training about a certain topic and you have some content available, but you don't know where to start, or you're doubting yourself which type of question format, which type of learning format you should use? Please put it in the chat and we will go into that as well later on. So, audience, this is the time for you to ask us all the questions you want. And we will share it a little bit with the team. Of course, if you don't want to go into details about, you don't have to share your materials or something, but it would be nice for all of us to learn from each other. Okay.
Perfect. And in the meantime, let me
Yes.
try and share my screen.
Yes,
So,
yes.
let's see, let's see.
Yes,
So
we
you
can
all
see it.
see, okay, great. This is the laptop version, obviously, but I think for what I want to share, it's a good example. This is a demo environment that we created, and there are bits and pieces from like client content that we have, bits and pieces from our own academy. But I think the nice part that you see in here, we always used to have the crash courses, or very rarely also the classic path. And now also for the end user, they see immediately, okay, there is something new. There is something fresh in the app. There are different types of formats, different types in which I can learn, I can study. And the good thing is, okay, we have certain categories under here, but if you try to create a nice variation per category so that you have crash courses as the foundation and followed up by info boosters who might, as you see here, like this is tips, so it's kind of a summary of what they've learned before. Add videos as well. This is an example of a nice product video. And then here at the bottom, we also have the Discover More section that I talked about, where, yeah, you can share any type of nice to know content too. I'm going to share or quickly show one of the, let me try and find the best example though. Boom, boom. I think this one might be nice. Again, it's laptop format, so it looks massive, but this is just to show that you don't have to use the text, yeah, like the info booster for only text. This is just a bunch of screenshots that you can use. This is more about wellness and well-being, but imagine doing this with your menu, with your dishes, or maybe with your products. If you say like we want a very visual recap of our new collection, and there is not that much to say, but there is a lot to show, then this is just, yeah, the perfect way to do so. Video only is quite self-explanatory. I'm going to click on this one. I'm not going to let it play because it's very loud. Oh yeah, I don't even have to push on play. The thing is, the nice part is that you stay within our environment. So with the content behind the tile, which is still a format that we have, but you were like, yeah, pushed towards a different page or a website or whatever, and now you stay within MobieTrain. You see it in the same way as you would see it on YouTube. So you see a very large version of the video, but you can, after you've seen it, go back to your home screen and continue with the rest. And then maybe one more example that I want to show, and this is something that our own amazing designer has created. So we had a client that had wonderful YouTube videos, and they were called how-to videos, where they explained how to replace a certain part on a bicycle. But these videos were pretty long. They were pretty in-depth. I think they were everything between like 2 to 3 minutes, not super long, but longer than we prefer. And instead of, if somebody just needs to know a certain step, instead of rewatching the whole video, we created this overview with a summary with all the steps. So if somebody in the store is like, damn, what was step 8 again? Or what should I do next? I just click on this overview and they see immediately what they need to see. So yeah.
I also love what we did there, for we also talked about it yesterday, the different types that people learn. Some people really like to watch a
Yeah,
video, others just like to read something. And I think these new content formats that we have really can push people to the content that they want to see. So that's really nice.
exactly. And again, here it's just an image. It's only 2 steps. If you say like I need a third one and a fourth one, or I do use a little bit more text to explain certain aspects or steps, you're totally free to do that. What you could also do is start with the video here. So I have the first step with the video, then continue with, oh no, am I lying? I am lying. I don't think you can add a video to Info Booster, can you?
No, yes, you can. You can.
I can? I'm
Yes,
not
you
lying.
can. Yes, you can.
So
So you
so
can add a
indeed,
video as
indeed,
well.
you can have a video and then have a summary, then have a little bit of text. So yeah, you can make the perfect combination of it all. I do like that this is so short and sweet, because again, I always imagine myself being in the shoes of the employees. You're in the heat of the moment. You don't have time to go through every step. So even if you keep these as short as possible, you help out your people in that way. All right. I think those are the main things that I wanted to show.
Yes. Also, in the meantime, Jen has another great addition to what we are saying. So, a tip: in the spirit of blended learning, quiz only can also be nice in combination with face to face training. This is also
Yeah,
something we sometimes tell our clients. So if you have an in-person training, you can also redirect them to the quiz on MobieTrain at the end and tell them to do the quiz as a kind of recap. And then you can also see how well people have understood that face-to-face training. So I also think that's a really nice addition.
thanks, Jen.
Yes, and it makes MobieTrain blend in a little bit more indeed with the face-to-face workshops that you still are having. Great
Absolutely.
tips. Super. No cases or questions have come in yet. Ah, here, Wolf Oil. Thank you, Peter. That's also what you're doing with Wolf Oil. If you want, you can always share something more about how you're experiencing this, like what's the feedback of people. Uh, Really great to hear that you're also putting this into practice.
Nice.
Yes. Is there any other advice in the meantime, while we're waiting for questions or cases that people want to share, that you would give clients, like any other things? Yeah.
Sure. I think no matter what you try to do with these formats, the very first thing that you need to do is have a very specific goal in mind. So if you, especially if you're new to MobieTrain, it is important that you know what you want your end users to have learned at the end of the journey and what type of behavior you want to change or to boost. Depends. And then once you have that goal in mind, what I love to do personally for our own clients, I just take the calendar in front of me. I see, okay, I have the couple of months, the next months that I need to fill with a training plan. And then I first of all make sure that there is a variety between what I launch so that you don't always launch the same type of topics. For example, always customer journey or always product stuff or always procedures, but that you kind of try and switch between soft skills, product updates, team news, that kind of stuff. And then obviously a mix and match between the new formats as well. And then, because we always say how important it is that you create a habit out of learning, make sure that you have, I wouldn't say every month or every 2 weeks, but whatever works best for you, but that it's on a regular basis. That way people know that they can expect every so often something new in the app. They come back, they are positively surprised with a new type of content that they see, new things that they can learn. And if you already have all of that set, you already have an amazing start. And then I'd say it's time to collect all the content that you have. We really strongly advise to go very visual, like the more visuals and more videos you have, the better. Especially again now with the new generation. And as we said before, visuals tell more than 1,000 words. And then you make sure that, especially when it comes to like PowerPoints and PDF docs, make sure that you summarize the essentials, because I understand that you want to say a lot and that you want to share a lot of information, but this could be very overwhelming for your end users. And once you've made that like this distinction between like the essential knowledge that you need, you can look at, okay, this is priority, we need to start with this, and this is need to not know type of content, so we have to test it. And then you can decide between those type of formats, so either still a crash course, a single learning, or the quiz only, or you link it with the other formats, or it's the nice to know type of content. And those are things that you can use the info boosters for, or the video only contents for on their own. You don't necessarily have to link them with any of the other formats. And then you can start creating. So I think if you have those steps, that specific training plan in mind, and you already know what kind of formats you want to use for what type of content, I think you have a great approach to start with.
Yeah, having a training plan is definitely, I think, a really good base. We also advise this to all of our clients.
Yeah,
And as you say, it doesn't have to be very technologically complex. It can just be the calendar that you put in front of you and you write it by hand. It can be anything, right? So as
exactly.
long as it's a little bit planned.
We
Okay,
do
great.
have because I need to, like, in my work, Sarah, we do have a very nice structure already in mind. In we have a template and everything.
We
So if
do.
you say like, hey, this training plan sounds amazing, like we have your backs. Reach
Yes.
out to us, we can help you.
Yes, please reach out to your customer success manager because we do have a great content planning template in Excel that I created. So
There
I
you
hope
go.
you will all use it or that it will help you. So very nice indeed. Okay, no questions in the chat yet. So maybe one last question from me before we go into the Q&A. So please, people, this is the time. You still have 15 minutes to post your questions. In the meantime, maybe Vic, I want to hear from you as well. You're with MobieTrain already for quite some years. You've been working in the learning technology space. What do you think that would be the future of workplace learning? You know, considering these new technologies that are now emerging, people that really want more flexible and accessible content. What do you think is the future of workplace learning?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And like you said, it changes a lot now that technology is going crazy. For me, it's very important that whatever we do, and whatever, anything that has to do with learning, that we keep in mind that it is as personal as possible. Like you said before as well, everyone learns in a different way. I'm, for example, a very visual person. I love listening to things, but I don't remember what I've heard. I'm also somebody who prefers that after I've seen something that I've also read it a couple of times to really make sure that I remember. So yeah, in other words, everybody has their own preferred way of learning. And I think this is where these formats completely change our approach because we can combine things and provide a lot more variety, but also a lot more possibilities
Mhm,
for our end users. I also think for like us as creators, it's very handy to have these type of formats because they also don't take as much time to create as, for
mhm,
example, a more classic crash course. But when it really comes to providing the and sharing knowledge in the best way, having a personalized approach and then combined with AI, that's for me like the future. If AI could start to distinguish based on how you learn, like, hey, for example, I see you love to use our video format a lot, maybe you would
mhm,
love these videos as well. Or I see that you're more into like our crash courses, so text type of stuff is more your way of learning. Let me
mhm,
maybe recommend this and this and this. Same for obviously info booster and so on and so on. So I think providing as much variety as possible, keeping in mind that everybody learns in a different way, and then having AI always there to assist you is the golden the golden combination.
the golden combination of
Yeah.
learning. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, I also think that's a really good one because having a variety of formats, but kind of the same information that you want to share, and then AI giving you the format or the information that will most stick in your mind, personalized, that would be a great addition, I think, in the future. Hier,
Yes.
Lieslore, Lilo, we have like shorter names for everyone in our company.
Nicknames, yeah.
Lilo also shared something more about the quiz only format. Imagine you've got a whole category dedicated to, for example, your brand with different learning tracks, the crash course single learning. You can cherry pick questions from the tracks or create new ones. Use the quiz only as a handy recap tool.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's also very good. Thank you, Lieslore. Thank you, Lilo, for sharing that with us. Yeah, definitely. I think we will see a lot more types of content that our clients will be creating.
Mhm. And I
Um,
think also for ourselves, like as we use it, it's pretty new still for us. We also keep on finding new and creative ways to,
yes.
see how can we transform this type of content into one of these formats.
Yes, and you have been talking a lot also about linking the content to each other. So using
Yeah,
the dependencies,
yeah,
all of these formats that we have been talking about today can be made dependent on each other. So you can really create, yeah, this
journey
different
for
journeys. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Ah, Peter asks us, can you show how to do this? Maybe we can show a little bit in the CMS how you can make different learning formats dependent on each other. Do you
Okay.
have the CMS open? Or
Can
I
you hear me?
yes.
yes.
Ah,
Okay.
yes.
Good. Yeah,
I,
maybe I just asked the question directly. I know you can.
yes.
I've been creating learning tracks for our company, and I know you can use certain learning moments and copy them, but I don't know how to cherry pick certain steps or questions to form to form a separate quiz format, for instance.
Ah, that's a
That's
good
the
question, Peter.
mhm.
Yes. I think there cherry picking might have been indeed more the in your own mind. You pick the questions that you think are the
Ah, yeah.
most
Hmm.
relevant, but it's still manual copy pasting them into the quiz only format. But it's a
Yeah,
very
indeed.
good
Ah,
question.
okay.
But I'm
Okay.
happy that you already know how to copy and clone the full learning moments. So that is also good. Um, so yeah, indeed. And then Peter, if you're on the line now that we have you here, do you want to elaborate a little bit more about your experience at Wolf Oil with the quiz only format? Because
Yeah, here
you
in
shared it.
Wolfwell, we have certainly on the technical side, we have a lot of in-person training here. And yeah, I'm sure yeah, Sven, Vic are already familiar with Johan, our main technical trainer here,
Yes.
who's certainly very enthusiastic. And
Nice.
we've been creating small quizzes for the end of every training, so the people here get more. They get a small recap of what the training had, so it's good for information retention, and also it makes them more familiar with the platform that we offer.
Yes,
Yes.
very nice. Very nice way also of getting people active on the platform as well. Yeah, good
Hmm.
one.
And out of
Okay.
curiosity, because you said that would be great if you could use the same questions in the quiz only, do you completely copy paste the questions you already asked in maybe a different format into the
Uh,
quiz only, or do you?
sometimes I directly use the same questions that we are using in some of the tracks already.
Okay.
Sometimes I change them a little bit depending on the narrative of the training that Johan is giving.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
very
okay.
nice.
And
Mm,
maybe also like an interesting one. Do you also work with like the how do you say this? The level of the people. So for example, you have a
mm,
quiz for beginners, and then okay, if they've done that pretty well, they can move
Mhm,
on to like the expert version, and you have like the master version. Is it also something you've
mhm.
already thought about?
Well, we haven't been using MobieTrain for very long yet. So for now, we're both the tracks and the quizzes are mainly based on entry level
Yeah.
mhm,
users. Also for the trainings, and the quizzes are also meant for that because well, the people participating in our trainings can be from every department, so they don't
mhm,
necessarily have a technical background. But as I said, it's more of a retention tool that in their mind they go back to the basic stuff that
Yeah.
started the training, so they know how to well they remember better the terms and simple stuff, the need to knows
Yeah.
the need
of
to
the
knows.
trainings.
Yeah,
Good.
very
Good.
nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Peter. Thank you so
And there
much.
too, I
Yep.
think that the info booster is also a great way. Like I just because I know your particular cases, Peter,
Hmm.
like there are some formulas and stuff, and
Ah,
some more complex schemes, and yeah, how do you even say it, like of yeah, images even, that I'm like, what is happening here?
if you're
That
not
that's also a
technical.
nice one to maybe like recap in the info booster as a visual, like having a one pager about that, or maybe just like certain formulas and then the explanation or definitions of words might also be handy.
Hmm.
So
Viscosity, Sven.
let's go.
Sven
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, thank you. And also Sven
Thanks.
said in the chat, and it's maybe also a good question. Are there any other challenges people are facing? So thank you, Peter, as already for sharing this best practice.
You're
That's
welcome.
really amazing. Indeed, are there any challenges, other cases from the other people present that when you're creating a learning moment or creating content that you want to talk about here or want to have some tips from Vic on the team? Then please share them in the chat. We have 5 more minutes available. Of
Uh,
course, yeah.
Otherwise, obviously, if you think of something after the webinar, you're
Of
very,
course.
very welcome to reach out as well by mail.
Yes, indeed. By mail, also to us as customer success, but also to Vic. Please don't overload her with all of your questions, but definitely, um, this is a very nice place to ask. Oh, Miriam, you have unmuted, so maybe you want to ask us something? No? Or not? No. Okay. Well, and anyway, I hope that you liked the webinar and that you have learned. Ah, Miriam, can you hear us? Hello? No.
Maybe just some technical difficulties.
I think technical difficulties. Yes,
Yeah.
no worries. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. We hope we have given you some new insights and inspiration to work with the new learning formats, maybe some things that you hadn't thought about yourself. Maybe we inspired you for some new content to create. So please let us know if there are any other questions. Also, please let us know if you like this webinar, then maybe we can do some more like these. And we're all looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Just going to quickly share. The next webinar that we have with MobieTrain is from our marketing team on the AI content that we have. So on AI chatbots and all of these things. So it might be very interesting for you. But it's not via Teams, it's via AirMeet. And you can subscribe in the link of the Mobi Talks. I'm just going to put the link here in the chat. We put in the email that it was the 30th of April, but we have pushed it 1 week to the 7th of May. So it will be the 7th of May at 11 a.m. The link is now in the chat, and there you can subscribe for the next webinar. So enhancing your customer-facing teams with AI, and it's mostly about Mobi, our AI chatbot. Most of you already know him or her. I don't know how you want to call Mobi. But it would be together with our product team who have really been working on Mobi a lot and are still perfectioning Mobi. So I think this is also a really nice one to dive deeper into that topic. Okay, thank you, Vic, also for being here
Thank you
today,
for having
answering the
me.
questions. Thank you for all the additions that we saw in the chat as well. And have a great day. See you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.